Hey friends, funny part, I was doing this just a little bit ago and sound wasn't recording. So here we go, round two. Uh, but grief and the holidays. The image of the holidays is one of wonderfulness, peace, joy, love, family, togetherness, that sense of fulfillment. Movies, songs, advertisements, just the decorations, and it's on the streets or in the shopping centers or wherever in your own house. It gives the idea that we're just supposed to feel great this time of year. But the reality of this world is it is not the movies or the songs. It is a little bit harsher at times, a little bit or a lot more sad, um, depressing, and that's because this world is not how God originally designed it. This world brings death and loss, and with that comes sadness and depression, questions, maybe some anger, some frustration, definitely where life doesn't play out the way we want it to. And that is a lot of most of us, if well, all of us eventually will experience some grief if we live long enough. And we will lose people that we love, that we care for, or we will have to deal with life with things that we didn't ever get, and we'll be sad for that. That's real. So grieving through the holidays is it's okay. It's part of life. It stinks. It's part of life, but it is, and I just want to let you know you're not alone. And dealing with it is the appropriate process. And you might say, how do you deal with this wretched thing? First off, it's acknowledging it, because a lot of times we want to try to deal with something by pretending it's not there or by minimizing it or trying to push through it, and that doesn't work. Not definitely in the long term. It may in the short term, and sometimes we kind of have to do that in order to just move through some of the responsibilities of life. But if we continue that process, we're never going to really heal or get past it. So we have to acknowledge it and acknowledge what it means. What did we lose? Not only the person or the pet or the opportunity or the resource or whatever it is, but um, we lost things to come. We lost the opportunity to chat with them. We lost the opportunity to be with them. We lost the opportunity to have a holiday or have a meal or have an experience or have a circumstance happen because that person is no longer here. That's real. That's okay. In that you're going to feel bad about it. You're going to feel sad. You're not wrong for feeling sad, for grieving. You're not wrong for feeling the loss. Um, and it is conflict when we see what we're kind of told it's supposed to be like versus looking at our own life and realizing that's not what we have. It is sad, and I'm sorry for you and with you. It is heavy. It's not the way this life's supposed to be. Wish we could take it away and make it different, um, but we can't, unfortunately. This life is where it is, and God promises that eternity will be spent with Him and with all the people who love Him and follow Him and take Jesus as their Savior. So, long term wise, we have the guarantee and it will be fulfilled relationally and spiritually and heart wise. Um, but stuck in this time, this place of time, the half dimension, I call it. There's 3D, so the length, width, height, and then time that goes just in one direction. Because we're stuck in it, things happen, and we keep moving through. Um, So grief is one of those. It's a loss. If we live long enough, we're all going to experience loss. And the holidays and experiences are times where we can reflect on the loss, but also utilize the experience to heal a little bit more from the loss. There's always a first for something, a first birthday, a first holiday, a first anniversary, a first experience through the year where that person isn't here anymore, that opportunity is no longer available. And those are huge. Those firsts are massive and validate that those are real, that those are true. Um, yes, true, Matt. It is definitely hard this year. It's just COVID, and unfortunately, in of itself, caused the loss of all kinds of opportunities and loss of experiencing closeness and gatherings like we would want to. And definitely going to look a lot different this year than the movies and the pictures and the songs and the environments that we kind of set it up to supposedly look like, for sure. Um, and so there's a special consideration this year to think about loss and grief. Um, go into the holiday thinking that, oh, I'm just supposed to be happy. No, take time to recognize the thing that's missing, the loss that's there, and don't pretend it doesn't exist. Um, because a lot of times when we try to pretend it doesn't exist, what ends up happening kind of comes and surprises us when we least want it to, least prepared for it. We sidetracked. We get hit from the side with grief and crying or tears or anger or a bunch of different emotions, and then we don't have the opportunity to address it well. Maybe we've even further embarrassed because um, we are showing emotions in a time and place where it's not maybe not appropriate. You don't feel safe doing it. It feels awkward and uncomfortable, and that does happen. So we do need to set aside a time. Really, I'm serious. Take time to say, I'm going to grieve this person. I'm going to grieve this opportunity. I'm going to grieve the loss of this thing that I would want. And it's a variety of losses. I was just thinking earlier when I was did this recording the first go around and didn't have audio, that our kids don't have grandparents. Haven't really had grandparents most all of their growing up. Had a the ones that were around we had limited access to them, but both my wife and my parents are both deceased, and my kids have no grandparents. So the holidays are not ones where grandparents are coming and loving on the kids and bringing presents and doing all that cool stuff. Unlike some of the friends that they have around, they're seeing my kids see other kids their age who have grandparents and loving gifts and spend time with them and take them places and do nice things for them. And my girls recognize that they don't have that. And every year that is an unfortunate, painful reality for us and for our family. So even though there was maybe a first Christmas without Grammy, there's now the third, fourth, 10th, 12th Christmas without Grammy, or the Christmas that, well, another time we wish mom's mom was here, but died before we were born. That's sad. Take the time to grieve that. It's real, it's valid, and it's okay. And, just want to make sure you recognize you're not alone with that. And there are support groups, there are counselors, there are people who can just come alongside you and acknowledge that this is painful. And for those of you who maybe don't feel a whole lot of grief yourself currently in your life, but you have people around you who are grieving, you can be very helpful for them as well. Don't give them trite responses or tell them we move past it or it's all going to be all right or God's got it, but just sit with them and validate. This is not the way it's supposed to be. This is sad. This is painful. We wish it would be different, but it's the reality of this life. And God is with us. He understands grief. Jesus went through grief. lots of different times through this life here on earth. God goes through grief a lot too, because we don't connect with him. We have ignored him. He doesn't get to have relationships with his kids like he would like to, the people he created in his image. So he understands that. It doesn't make it any easier. It just makes us feel like alone. But even in that grief, we may be questioning, why me, God? Why this? Why did this happen? Why did you take this person? Those are common questions. Process and validating. It was good. You have to acknowledge it. If we don't recognize their issue, then we're not going to be able to address it. And grief is a process. It's a process that consists of a variety of emotions and experiences, from sadness and anger to depression to maybe a little bit of helplessness, hopelessness, some acceptance, and sort of resolution, the resolve that, okay, I've it made it what it is, and I can validate it for what it is, and in life, knowing and accepting that this person isn't here, and these things are not going to happen the way I would want them to happen, and that's good. But every year, just because it's a first, doesn't mean you're not going to have happen again next year, or happen maybe multiple times during the celebration, or the the upcoming weeks to Christmas. That different events happen, different parties, different things, and you'll get hit with grief ways for those things. Be aware of that. Even think ahead beforehand, like, hey, this is going to happen, and well, ideally, this would have been what it looked like, but this person isn't here anymore, and so that I have to grieve. I have to recognize there's going to be a loss for this upcoming dinner, or this upcoming celebration, or this upcoming tradition that we do every year, and that's okay. That's appropriate to do that. Don't pretend it doesn't exist. Don't pretend it's easier or better than what it really is. I find that sabotages us a whole lot, and really interferes with um, moving ahead in this life and enjoying what we do have the opportunity to enjoy. So there's just a few thoughts on grief in the holidays. I know it's hard. I'm with you, and grieve alongside. And if you have any questions further to elaborate on this, or address some more tools or techniques, let me know. So write them in the find this video helpful. Social media and wherever else. And I look forward to chatting with you again. May your holiday season be one of progress, growth, healing, and notice of the love and depth and truth that God brings into our life, and that the potential really of fulfilling life and relationships with no more tears, no more loss, no more grief, because God has gives us eternal life. May that be further known to you as well. Take care, everybody. I'll talk to you again sometime soon. Bye.